When I think about abiding, Paul talks about abiding first. Jesus says abiding is essential. I kind of see abiding like the spiritual gas for the vehicle, the direction, all of that, the Holy Spirit's work as we abide with Him. And when I was thinking about abiding, your three names came up. Sam, your walk with the Lord. My mom, Bobby, your who you've been all these years, and Santha. You three came to my mind first. How do you see abiding as a part of this journey?
He's the vine and we're the branches, and that the fruit in our life that is spiritual fruit, the fruit that lasts, only comes through that abiding, that remaining relationship with Him. I think about, our life can be spent doing so many different things, and Jesus said, but none of that will matter in the end. Only the things that come from that abiding relationship, whether it's in the home sphere or the church sphere or the work I do in the world, none of that will matter if I'm not connected to the vine. And so for me, it just goes, this relationship is so key to my entire life and how I live my life. And Jesus says in that passage that, I'm always like, what do you mean abide? What do you mean remain? How do I do that? And He says in there that it's through obedience. It's through obeying what He has said in His word that brings about that abiding, that constant remaining in Him. His commands, all those things are really just about learning to love Him, learning to love others, learning to love myself in light of who I am in Him. And that obedience that sometimes is walking away from things that I used to do and cutting things away. He talks about pruning, and some things are ending and going away. And some of those things are even good things, but He's working to create the best things in our life. To me, that abiding relationship is just really what sets up our entire life. How do I walk this out? How do I do this? How do I keep doing it since I do it imperfectly and I feel like giving up or I feel like I've failed? To be reminded, no, this is who I am in Christ, reminded of who He is, this reminder of His heart for me and this constant changing. It is about knowing who He is, knowing what His word says, obedience, what are the things you're asking of me. So absolutely time in His word, prayer, talking to Him, like, hey, what do you mean by this? And processing that, I journal and do different things to try to help get that clarity in my own mind. But also, I just think too of how much abiding goes into the other spheres of our life. Think about all the things I've learned about God from my wife and her relationship and her abiding. And then I learn things and I process with her, guys in my men's group that I share with, mentors that I've had that challenge me, that help just bring that clarity of what does this look like. That also encourage me when the Lord is pruning and taking things away to not give up, to the reminder that He's so worth it. And I think about in that passage where Jesus says not only is He going to prune and take away, but He also says, I'm sharing all this with you and I want you to walk in this path so that your joy may be complete. And that He's talking about a satisfaction and that fruit of who He is that is great. Like sometimes I think about obedience as like, don't, like I have to do this or I can't do that. And it can seem like rules or checking boxes, but that's missing the heart, which is what Jesus is saying. This relationship is a satisfying relationship. It's a full joy, which is what I think all of our souls long for.
I knew that I needed to pray. I knew I needed to read the Bible. I knew that I needed that relationship with God, but I was having trouble with it. And you were talking about mentors. I was with one of the gals who was a preacher's wife in California, actually, and had come up to do a Women's Day. And going to the airport, I said, Pat, how did you learn to pray? Because I'm having trouble. I can't keep focused. I've got so many things going on.
5 kids would probably do that, yeah.
And a job. She said, I started just writing letters to God every morning. And she said that allowed me to focus. And I thought, well, I can do that. And so I went and got just a little journal and sat down in the morning early, and I just started writing to God my thoughts, my concerns, my prayer. And that developed. I grew over time. I started reading a chapter of the Bible every day. And so I would go through and mark up one Bible, put it aside, grab another Bible, and start all over. Over time, I have boxes. I can't seem to throw them away. I, to this day, do that. It started out, it was like 15 minutes. Now, it's like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half.
Because you don't have 5 kids.
True, and I've got a lot more to say to God and a lot more questions for God. So that's kind of what I do, and I'm growing in the Lord every day. It doesn't stop.
God reveals who He is, and He wants to know who I am. So whatever story I'm telling myself, that's what I live out of. When I came to know Jesus, I became a new creation. And God has a new identity and a new person that He wants me to be, that He's called me to be. It's based not off of who I think I am, but it's based off of who He created me to be. And when I change my identity of who I am, it begins to change how I see the entire world. I see what are the problems in the world differently. I see what are the solutions to the world differently based off of who God is and who He says that I am. I even see all the people around me differently. Now I have a different purpose. I have a different reason for why I get up in the morning. He's given me gifts and abilities and responsibilities to represent His kingdom. So when I live out of that story, life is so very differently than when I just live out of the old story that I've been told. Abiding isn't just that time that I spend alone with God. Abiding is something that I do all day long. All day long, I come back to, Lord, who are You? What are You doing in this situation? Who am I because of You? And who are they? And how do I respond to that? How am I letting His life flow through me into this situation and to produce the kind of fruit that He does? Or how am I blocking that and I'm choosing to try to let my own self flow through? And that produces a different kind of fruit. So abiding is not just something that I do once in the morning. It's something that I work on all day long. It's a conversation between the Lord and I. It's talking about the Lord with other people. It's letting them call me up to who I am, and it's letting me call them up to who they are.